Sometimes I find myself looking around and noticing how differently I react compared to others in the same situations. I often wonder why I don't do what others do, why my thoughts take longer, more winding routes, why I feel things at a rhythm or intensity that doesn't match the people around me. I know I'm not the only one who feels this strange mismatch, but in the moments when I face it, it seems like it belongs only to me. And then an entire internal conversation begins, one in which I try to understand what makes me different and why I cannot follow the path most people follow. I believe everything starts with the way I perceive reality. For me, nothing is just what it seems. Every gesture, every word, every glance hides a shade, a subtle meaning, an unspoken emotion. Sometimes I feel like I'm living life on two parallel planes: the visible one, where things happen on the surface, and the inner one, where everything gains a deeper meaning. Because of that, I often cannot align myself with the spontaneous reaction others have. They respond quickly, they adapt instantly, they make decisions without hesitation. I feel the need to breathe first, to analyze, to listen to what is happening inside me before I act. Maybe that makes some people think I'm indecisive or withdrawn, but in reality, I'm just trying to remain true to myself. Another reason I don't do what others do is connected to my inner rhythm. People rush, move from one stage to another, follow clear objectives, submit themselves to expectations that seem natural for them. For me, this rhythm feels forced. I need time to understand what I feel, to check my intentions, to understand why I'm taking a certain step. I once tried to synchronize myself with their rhythm, to move at the same pace, only to discover that in my attempt to adapt, I ended up losing myself. I found myself doing things that didn't represent me, accepting situations that didn't fulfill me, living in a direction that wasn't mine. Since then, I've learned that my own rhythm is essential, and if I ignore it, I suffocate inside my own choices. Another part of why I, Don T, do what others do has to do with the way I relate to people. In a world where many can maintain superficial relationships, keep social connections light, move quickly past conflicts or disappointments, I can't. I feel everything more deeply. A connection for me is not just an exchange of words, but a bridge between two inner worlds. When I attach completely. When I open up, I open fully. And when I'm hurt, the wound doesn't heal easily. Maybe that's why I can't enter and exit relationships the way others do. For me, every bond has major importance, and every rupture leaves real marks. I know this makes me different, and sometimes it hurts that it seems to keep me outside the usual patterns of social interaction. But at the same time, it reminds me that the way I feel is authentic, even if it isn't the easiest. A significant part of this difference also comes from the way I view the goals of life. Many people guide themselves by clear checkpoints: a stable career, social status, a good public image. They have a plan, they follow it, and feel fulfilled when they achieve it. But I don't function that way. For me, goals are not about recognition, but about meaning. I constantly ask myself, why do I want this? What does it bring into my life? Does it respect my values? Does it preserve my inner peace? Maybe this constant need for meaning pushes me away from what others do, because many are content to simply follow the path society has already laid out. I cannot do that. If something lacks meaning for me, I cannot move forward with it, no matter how advantageous it may look from the outside. Sometimes I think I, Don T, do what others do because I'm afraid of living a life that isn't truly mine. The idea that I could one day look at myself and not recognize who I've become terrifies me. I want to feel that every choice, every direction, every step comes from within me, not from social pressure or from the need to please others. And maybe this desire for authenticity is what makes me deviate from conventional paths, ask more of myself, and refuse what seems simple but lacks depth. In the moments when I confront my own difference, I sometimes feel free, and other times I feel isolated. It's a strange kind of freedom, one that encourages me to follow my path, but which also makes me wonder whether I might be missing something that others seem to find so easily. Often I feel like I'm walking on a forest trail while others are driving on a highway. They arrive quickly, without obstacles, while I stumble over roots, veer off onto narrow paths. Stop to look at the light through the trees, get lost and find myself again. But at the same time, I see things they don't. I hear the silence, feel the nature, discover details the highway ignores. And that reminds me that my path, no matter how difficult, is not inferior. It is simply different. There are moments when this difference brings confusion. I ask myself why I can't be like them, why I can't make decisions more easily, why I can't accept things as simply as they do. But then I remember that every time I tried not to be myself, I felt an internal fracture, that trying to adapt too much made me drift away from who I am, that my inner peace appears only when I allow myself to be exactly who I am, with my rhythm, my thoughts, my sensitivity, my way of feeling life. Perhaps my difference is not a problem, but a trait. Maybe the world also needs people who don't do what others do, who see things differently, who feel differently, who refuse to conform just for the sake of belonging. Maybe people like me are the ones who ask questions, who bring depth, who create spaces for reflection, who don't let themselves be carried by the current just because the current is strong. In the end, I believe the reason I don't do what others do is simple, because I am built differently, because my inner world works on different frequencies, because I need meaning, not just results, authentic connections, not just relationships, my own rhythm, not just a direction, personal truth, not just social acceptance. And if that makes me different, then perhaps the difference is not an obstacle, but a way of living in harmony with myself.